Now, as we look at this week's edition of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE injured superstars return dates, NXT talent upset about an upcoming PLE, Mickie James just insulted half of the women's WWE roster, fans furious about Netflix censors, a WWE star's contract ending soon, Charlotte Flair's ready to break the record, why The Weeknd always has a song for Mania, and much more. Now, as always, won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good. It's number one, Cena and Rhodes both cooked. But John Cena and Cody Rhodes went all in tonight, cooking each other with some laser-guided burns that played up to each other's weaknesses. John Cena absolutely roasted Cody, telling him, "I'm not going to cook you, I'm going to bury you, just like I buried everyone else. I don't bury talent, I am talent. I bury mediocrity." Cena was relentless, calling Cody a glorified fan, mocking his neck tattoo, which I guess is low-hanging fruit, but even taking a shot at Cody milking money out of a billionaire's kid. But Cena wasn't finished there. He promised Cody the last real champion is taking that belt forever. You'll be left as what you are, an errand boy that got lucky. And naturally, Cody wasn't going to leave without responding, and he gave it as good as he got, labeling Cena a corporate creation and blasting him by telling Cena has more dick on the mic than on the short, proudly admitting he's never had fans shout, "You can't wrestle" at him, and telling Cena he can't say he left WWE better than he found it. Rhodes pushed the envelope as much as Cena, referencing Vince McMahon with this burn, saying, "Can you say the same, or was it the one guy in the office who chose you who's not here anymore and we don't talk about?" WWE's increased the heat on WrestleMania 41's biggest match week by week, and this week's exchange was a natural progression, especially when things got physical. Cena decided to try a cheap shot, only to fall prey to a crossroads, and hopefully WWE continues building the heat on its hottest program of the year. The only problem is that this is Cena's last TV appearance before WrestleMania 41. What will Cody Rhodes do on the final show to WrestleMania? Number 2, Raw was brutal. Gunther's brutal beatdown on Jimmy Uso was booked to perfection. Having a challenger's friend or family member take a hell of beating is a time-proven tool in pro wrestling booking, but it's never been more needed than here. It's no great revelation that the booking for Jey Uso versus Gunther has been atrocious, essentially boiling down to Gunther ambushing Jey every week and Jey slipping on an invisible banana peel when he tries to attack Gunther. But that all changed this week, with Gunther absolutely destroying Jimmy in their match, and afterward, even worse, Gunther laid out Jey when he tried to help his brother, zip-tying Jey to the ring rope and bloodying Jimmy, while main event Jey had to just watch. Naturally, this is the spark that needed to be lit under Jey Uso, and Gunther is definitely going to regret unleashing the savage side of Jey, synonymous with the bloodline. Number 3, a bloody mess. And we're not going to say blood is back because fans know WWE isn't afraid to use blood when it fits a storyline, but still WWE's used blood sparingly, which makes it mean something when someone is busted open. Such was the case tonight when Gunther beat Jimmy Uso to a complete pulp. It wasn't a pretty sight, especially when Gunther wrote the blood on his body, showing the brutal barbarian that he's been lurking beneath the veneer of a supposedly civilized champion. Number 4, ramping up the road to WrestleMania. Now, Raw finally delivered the goods, giving many fans reason to invest their time into this year's Mania. But WWE floored it tonight on the road to WrestleMania, putting its storyline cart into full speed with angles to build some of its top programs. Raw is War. The build to WrestleMania also benefited Raw, which has been hit and miss for weeks. WWE's booking reflected the idea that it was too soon to throw out some big angles for WrestleMania, and while that's a wise course, Raw had plenty of other storylines to build off, or at least they should have if WWE spent the time on its undercard. But this week's Raw was definitely a return to form. That was good. What about the bad? Is number 1, cutting off interviews. TKO's budget cuts that led to the release of various WWE workers may be coming back to haunt it. You just have to wonder how WWE can bungle not 1, but 2 interview segments by cutting them off prematurely. First, WWE cut off the New Day, and then it was Maxine Dupree. Was this just a case of bad luck, or is WWE understaffed in its production truck tonight? Number 2, a mid-build. As good as AJ Styles versus Logan Paul will be in the ring, the build-up has been lukewarm. Part of the problem is what WWE fans see every week. Undercard programs that don't get the same care as top-tier programs, resulting in segments that give fans no storyline to sink their teeth into. And we still have no answers. Now, as hard as the Cena versus Rhodes feud is, what happened to The Rock? And while fans know the final boss's schedule prohibits him from making many live appearances, the least WWE could do is to explain his absence with a few lines of dialogue from Cena. Ideally, The Rock could have been sending in video promos to put his spin on things. There was nothing downright ugly. Tonight's Raw wasn't perfect, but WWE finally delivered an episode that built up its biggest show of the year. There are still 2 weeks to go of Raw before the show of shows, so hopefully WWE can keep it on full gear as we continue the road to WrestleMania. What do you guys think of this week's edition of the Red Brand? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at rumored injured WWE superstar returns. The first being Asuka and when she's rumored to return. Now it's time for an update on Asuka and when fans should expect her back. Wrestling's Empress of Tomorrow has been out for nearly a year since undergoing knee surgery, and while Asuka has kept fans updated with her rehabilitation, there's been no concrete date for return. However, Pro Wrestling Nexus was reporting on a tentative return date saying Asuka is set to return to the WWE Raw roster from injury sometime in May, likely after Backlash. Now it's unclear whether Asuka is cleared to return, however, even if she is cleared, it makes sense to wait until after WrestleMania so she isn't rushed into a meaningless program or match that diminishes her return, or judging by a record, another loss to a WrestleMania streak. But what about Tonga Loa? When is he coming back? Another name to look out for is Tonga Loa, who's been out of action since suffering a bicep tear during last year's War Games match at Survivor Series. PW Nexus recently tweeted, Tonga Loa looks to return to SmackDown in June. Last year's men's War Games match was a bad night for several competitors as Bronson Reed, Tonga Loa and Jimmy Uso were all injured during the match. It'll be interesting to see what role Tonga has when he returns, as it's obvious Jacob Fatu is parting ways with Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. And finally, what about Ilya Dragunov? Well, it's going to be still a while for his return. Dragunov tore his ACL last September, and according to PW Nexus, it may be several more months until his return, as Ilya Dragunov is targeting a return to the Raw roster in September. Fans have seen how long ACL injuries can sideline wrestlers, whether it's Asuka, Dakota Kai, or here Ilya. Wrestlers occasionally encounter setbacks during rehab, further complicating things, but at the same time, keep in mind that WWE have been releasing false rumors to keep fans guessing about when these superstars' actual return dates are. Next up, NXT talent upset about an upcoming PLE. But why is some of the NXT talent said to be upset with WWE's Stand and Deliver PLE? Well, the event is scheduled for 19th April, day 1 of WrestleMania 41, and while some wrestlers might be upset to having to share their big show with WWE's show of shows, it's apparently the start time of the event that's made some stars unhappy. WrestleTalk noted the start times and how they've changed more than once. Stand and Deliver was initially listed for an 11:30 a.m. start time, which was then changed to 10:30 a.m. and now is currently set for 9:30 a.m. in the morning of WrestleMania Night 1. A Fightful Select reports that this early start time means wrestlers will have to arrive at the venue around 2 a.m. Do you think 9:30 a.m. is too early for a wrestling show? Next up, a WWE star's contract ending soon. Or is Karrion Kross on the way out of WWE? While it's too soon to speculate on Kross's WWE future, Fightful Select is reporting that his current WWE deal is set to expire sometime in 2025, possibly as early as this summer. And nothing has been confirmed, but it's cause for concern as the 39-year-old superstar continues to get himself over despite what can only be described as a weak push for the last year. Kross gets plenty of backstage TV time as an instigator and recently had a program with the now defunct Final Testament faction against the Wild Six. Nonetheless, his singles career has been seen as a disappointment as he still hasn't won any championship gold on the main roster, despite a loyal fan base and fans flocking to his social media accounts to see what he's up to. Indeed, the Fightful report notes that WWE is said to be ecstatic about his work on social media and getting himself over. If so, they haven't done anything to show their appreciation in terms of presenting him as an upper card or main event superstar. While Kross is one of the many talented wrestlers stuck on the sidelines due to a bloated roster, WWE needs to consider utilizing him better, or he may opt to go somewhere else where he's better appreciated. Would you like to see Karrion Kross stay in the WWE? Next up, Mickie James insults half of the women's roster. Now it's time to look at some recent comments from Mickie James on WWE's LFG show, where she serves as a judge of the aspiring wrestlers. During one particular segment, James criticized 2 females for their new ring attire. "I like your new gear. I lived during the Diva era, and we fought very hard not to have to wrestle in lingerie anymore. Because I am a female, I can speak on this. It's very frustrating when women go out there and wrestle and all I see is their ass. I can't look past that. It's all I see. It's very distracting." James wasn't finished and added, "You want to be taken seriously as a wrestler, but you're pretty much wrestling in jazzed up lingerie. That's my opinion." And that's coming from someone who's had their ass on TV a lot. Now, as you might expect, the IWC weighed in, with some fans calling Mickie a hypocrite after years in what they called revealing outfits. A former TNA knockout Velvet Sky also weighed in saying, "I feel attacked." There's nothing wrong with sex appeal in wrestling. Diva era or not, I personally find nothing wrong with her gear. Just my opinion, but what do I know? Let the pigeons loose, Zena. Now, as we'll see next, Mickie is apparently not the only female superstar upset with the women showing off their, assets. As this Zoe starts bringing back an Attitude Era gimmick? Oh, is Right to Censor coming back? Well, fans are asking this after Stark tweeted a censored video of Rhea Ripley having fun with the fans at a live event in risque fashion, commenting, example number one, what's wrong with the women in today's society? Rhea Ripley had a reply saying, kiss my juicy ass, Zoe. Well, fans immediately began posting gifs of Right to Censor, the faction that comically tried to instill a sense of morality during the Attitude Era. Do you think WWE could revive the faction, and who would be a part of it? Next up, Charlotte Flair is ready to break the record. Now it looks like Charlotte Flair isn't letting family get in her career goals, as the Queen recently had this to say. I plan on breaking my dad's record. That's something I want to do and will do, but if John is the first to break it, no one will break John's record. Do you think Charlotte Flair can set a new record? Do you even want her to break the record? Next up, Triple H drops a UK bombshell. UK fans, are you ready? As Triple H recently dropped a bombshell, as UK reporter Alex McCarthy recently tweeted, when asked Triple H about the UK having a PLE in the next year or so, oh yeah, for sure. Also mentioned India as a market will soon be able to view them on Netflix and a place he'd like to go. Now the last UK pay-per-view was Clash at the Castle in Scotland, but which PLE should they bring over to the UK? Next up, Hulk Hogan caught lying again. Yeah, Hulk Hogan has been called out again for another tall tale. Now, we're not talking about Hogan's claims to have partied with John Belushi after 1986's WrestleMania 2, as Belushi died in 82, or Metallica approached him about playing bass guitar. In this case, we're referencing Hogan's claim that he was originally approached to endorse the grill that became famous as the George Foreman grill. Like many of Hogan's fibs, the Hulkster has different takes on what happened, with one of the most talked about being his fish story that he missed a phone call asking him to lend his name to sponsor the grill. And now on the YouTube show, Pablo Torres finds out, he claims to have the real deal on what happened behind the scenes. We went to the grill's inventor Michael Boehm, and his family issued a statement to us. They dispute the Hulkster's cataloging of events. George Foreman was the only celebrity our dad approached about endorsing the grill. We don't know who started the story about Hulk Hogan being approached, but it is inaccurate. The agent Hulk Hogan cited was a guy named Sam. He reps Hulk Hogan and George Foreman. Pablo continued the results of his sleuthing, saying, unfortunately, Sam passed away last fall, but they shared a lawyer. The lawyer is a guy named Henry Holmes, and he told us the Hulk Hogan story is not in my recollection. In fact, it was two other celebrities sharing representation that their agent was asking about. Now, while Hogan wasn't considered, there were two other celebrities considered for endorsing the grill, Pamela Anderson and Chuck Norris. Although Hogan didn't get to endorse the grill, he later slapped his name onto another grill, but that grill was subject to a voluntary product recall after multiple reports of it igniting or flaring up. Next up, WWE superstars set to appear in Clash of Clans. There's good news for wrestling fans who enjoy playing the mobile game Clash of Clans, as News 18 is reporting WWE superstars Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, The Undertaker, Bianca Belair and more to be featured in the popular mobile game throughout April 2025. The report notes that the launch begins on 1st April. Next up, a big question is, why is The Weeknd providing WrestleMania themes again? Now, this marks the 6th time in a row that The Weeknd is providing the song for WrestleMania. But in case you're wondering why he's always selected, well, Fightful Select is reporting that one person in particular is responsible for this, The Weeknd's manager, as The Weeknd's manager is a huge wrestling fan. The way things are going, his streak is going to be bigger than The Undertaker's. Next up, fans furious about Netflix censors. And Netflix is at it again, editing out profanity with some awfully piped-in replacement audio. If you watched Raw recently, you've noticed a lousy job being done to censor holy shit chants with "This is awesome" and other traditional chants. And now fans are taking to social media to voice their disgust, as a quick review of Reddit Squared Circle shows fans are blasting Netflix editors while also having some laughs at the situation. Still can't believe they were chanting "We want tables" for the 12 minutes during Hogan vs. Warrior. PS chants when Virgil turned face on the $1 Million Man were fitting but also confusing. Stone Cold's breaking glass music when Marty Jannetty jumped through the barbershop window was a little weird. Now, as ridiculous as the Reddit comments are, they're nothing compared to Netflix's half-baked efforts at censoring expletives they apparently feel don't fall into their family-friendly expectations for Raw, which is weird as they have programs that are less than suitable for children being advertised in their trending section. Now, it seems odd that we expected less censors, but now we're in a point where we're getting more censors from Netflix. finally, Cody Rhodes wants to change his entrance theme. Last but not least, Cody Rhodes is always looking to keep his act fresh, as seen by some recent comments he made about his popular entrance theme. During an interview with Stephanie McMahon on McMahon's new Stephanie's Places show, the current WWE Undisputed Champion talked about switching things up with entrance themes by adding his daughter to the song. My goal actually is, I don't know if she want to do this, but the beginning of my song, the little voiceover that exists, I'd love my daughter to do it at one point, just because I want her to have a good experience in this.